Welcome to the Friday Five with Steve Greenfield on CBT News.
Welcome to this week's Friday Five, where we recap the last week's automotive technology deals. This is Steve Greenfield from Automotive Ventures, and thanks for joining us. We kick off today's show with some news hot off the press. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce David Steinberg, co-founder of both AdPearance and FourEyes and current CEO of FourEyes. David, welcome to the show.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. This is great to be here.
So I'm not going to talk about this. Let's just turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about your news and how you got here.
Well, Steve, I think you're sort of the penultimate guy right now who's breaking financing news. So I wanted to announce that, AdPearance and FourEyes, we just raised $10 million.
Congrats.
And completed that round. I think, while it's exciting, I think the reason I'm excited to be here today is I think there's actually some conversations about equity financing that are a little bit deeper that, as an industry, we should start to have. And, it's been hard to have it before we sort of ourselves had raised money, because I think people would look at us and say, well, the only reason you're saying that is because you haven't raised money. So I figured now that we've raised money, I can more have this conversation easier. So I thought your show would be a great outlet to discuss this stuff.
That's great. So let's dig in a little bit. Tell us how you got to the decision about raising money and the impact it's had on your employees and how you've incorporated them into that decision.
Yeah, I think that we've been very slow to raise money as an organization. AdPearance is 10 years old, FourEyes is 6 years old. I think one of the issues with equity financing, we sort of live in this Shark Tank culture right now, where we really celebrate equity financing as sort of the finish line. The reality, I think, is that equity financing is the most expensive form of capital a business owner can take on. If a business owner believes in their goals and their outcomes, it is literally the most expensive form of capital. And I think that, sort of the core issue with Shark Tank culture, I say, that we kind of live in right now, is that we're not rewarding all of the other things that entrepreneurs are successfully doing, especially as it relates to access to capital. Because equity financing is really access to capital. And when you look at, okay, how is my business have the right access to capital? Equity financing should be at the last thing you look at. And instead, I think we kind of look at it first. So we never, a little known secret about AdPearance and FourEyes is we actually did hard money loans. We did about $1 million of hard money loans. Entrepreneurs don't do that enough early on in our company, where, I put my equity on my house, I put my, my own personal wealth at stake, and I'm a ride or die guy. So I'm like, hey, look, if I don't believe enough to do this, then maybe I don't believe enough in my idea. Right. But what that created initially was, the ability to give more equity to our employees. And, we're in a time right now where the auto industry and all of us vendors, the software vendors, are creating incredible wealth and there's so much private equity money coming into our industry that the question becomes, well, how is that equity being distributed potentially down to the employees, some of the water carriers who are really carrying and really leading a lot of the innovation sort of behind the scenes. One of the other things that a few years ago, we got our first real big banking line. We were at about a $2 million line of credit, and we got it up to about $8 million. That $8 million line gave us the capital we needed. It was non-dilutive to our employees, and it really fueled our growth, and it created the ability to give a lot more wealth back to our employees.
That's great.
One of the things we've done is we have what we call our employee participation plan. And what we did in that is we allocated 20% of any exit, even in secondary capital. So if my business partner or I take money off the table, we have to pay out 20% to our employees.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And, we did that to really tie our outcome directly to our employees. So, to close some of the loopholes that exist in equity financing. And what was interesting about having this 20% employee participation plan is our employees, even today, are still our biggest, sort of non-founder shareholder. And it made us look at equity financing completely differently, where we said, how are we creating wealth? How are we maintaining the ability to create wealth for our employees? And under that, so many deals didn't make sense. Right. I think the other misnomer in equity financing is that money buys execution. Right. Money doesn't buy execution. execution buys execution.
Right.
I think we've proven as a team that we know how to execute. We know how to lean organizations by execution.
Right.
Or execute. So you look at, we just watched the Olympics. No one bets on the guy that's fat and happy, right? You bet on the guy that's hungry.
Right.
And so I think overcapitalizing your businesses that we're kind of going through a little bit right now.
Yep.
It potentially makes it harder to dilute real equity to your shareholder, to your employees, and it makes you less hungry and less lean.
What advice do you have to other entrepreneurs out there that are in a similar situation where they're contemplating, taking on debt versus equity, being employee friendly through that process? I mean, any advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the employee participation plan we put in place has been great for our business. It's been great for retention. It's been great for aligning everybody. I think to look at the challenge differently, because as an entrepreneur with a successful business, my inbox is filled up every day with private equity companies saying, hey, we want to talk, we want to invest.
Yep.
But look at equity financing last, not first. Look at, access to bank capital is way less dilutive, way better when you can get it. Right. And I think so many, what I say to new startups or new young companies is, the second you start making money, put a finance person in there, run your books incredibly well. No funny business. Don't put any personal expenses in there. Keep your books really, really clean, and work your bank every single year.
Right.
And we've been in a changing climate since 2008. 2008, 2009 was tough with bank financing, and the banks have sort of loosened up a little bit. They're still, they're not nearly as loose as private equity. But if you can get bank financing, way less dilutive, and then the question is, how are you then sharing that with your employees?
Right.
How are we as an industry creating wealth for employees? I mean, we have an opportunity here. I'm pretty comfortable with what I make in life, and I have an opportunity to create real wealth for my employees. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's great, David. Thank you for being such a thoughtful entrepreneur in the space. You don't often hear this story, so I appreciate you spending time with us today. Congratulations to your employees. It sounds like a very mutually beneficial culture that you've built, and at some point, love to dive into your philosophy on culture. But greatly appreciate you tuning in today and sharing this with our audience.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. You're doing great work out there. I think you're breaking all the news right now, so keep it up.
Thank you, David. We appreciate it very much. So let's dig into the AutoTech deals of the past week. First up, a brand that anyone who is a collector car enthusiast will know and love, as specialty automotive insurer Hagerty plans to go public on the New York Stock Exchange via merger with a special purpose acquisition company. Hagerty, which focuses its insurance offerings on the global automotive enthusiast market, plans to merge with SPAC Aldel Financial. The deal values Hagerty at $3.13 billion and includes $704 million in PIPE financing from investors State Farm and Markel. This deal, set to close in the fourth quarter of this year, will leave the Hagerty family with 52% control of the newly publicly traded company. FIX4 Capital, a company founded in early 2020 to provide affordable and flexible car repair loans, has raised $7.2 million in its first round seed funding to help propel its growth plans. The round included the participation of venture capital firm Tactico, Kira Capital Partners, and other angel investors. Since launching its app and quick loan service earlier this year, FIX4 Capital has helped hundreds of drivers get back on the road through its promise of quick access to money for car repair and maintenance. In the process, the company has helped service centers reduce the potential for lost revenues, even and especially in the throes of COVID-19. Privacy for Cars announced a Series A investment round led by FM Capital with additional investment by Automotive Ventures. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Privacy for Cars is a tech company that aims to identify and resolve data privacy issues in the auto industry. Privacy for Cars plans on using the funding for growing its service and platform, supporting its research and IP, recruiting talent, and both international and domestic growth. Dealer Peak CRM, a company that builds customer relationship management software for car dealerships, recently raised $3 million from investors. Dealer Peak makes customer relationship management software for used car dealerships to nurture sales leads, track marketing efforts, monitor inventory, and assist with the auto financing process. The funding round was led by Gowiecki Auto Group, with additional participation from Tim Crown, one of the founders of Insight Enterprises in Tempe, Jim Pendergast, co-founder of Healthiest You, and Zach Ferris, board member and co-founder of Coplex in Phoenix. iLending Direct announced that it has raised an additional $35 million through a transaction led by First Eagle Alternative Credit. This new capital follows iLending's announcement in May that JC Flowers had taken a majority stake in the company. The platform from iLending is available in all 50 states and can handle the entire process, including finding the best rates, paying off the previous finance company, and retitling the vehicle. Champ Titles, a technology company that is changing the way that vehicle titles are created, managed, and transferred in the United States, has closed an $8.5 million Series A investment. The round was led by EOS Venture Partners and W.R. Berkeley Corporation, and it brings the company's combined funding to over $17.5 million. Champ Titles was launched in 2018 and can reduce the amount of time it takes to create, manage, or transfer a vehicle title to just 1 day. The money raised will be used to accelerate the distribution of its breakthrough technology across multiple vehicle title ecosystem verticals and a broader geographical footprint. Hop Skip Drive, a rideshare platform for kids, is betting that demand for its rideshare service will increase as parents send their kids back to school. To help fund that growth and expand into 30 new markets over the next year and a half, Hop Skip Ride raised $25 million in a Series C round. The new cash injection, which came from Energy Impact Partners, Keyframe Capital, Firstmark Capital, and 1776 Ventures, will be used to invest in electrification initiatives that will spur the company's goal of helping its care drivers transition to electric vehicles affordably via partnerships with OEMs. Innovusion, a global leader in design and development of image-grade LiDAR technology, has successfully raised $66 million in Series B plus financing. The round was led by Guotou Junan International Private Equity Fund, with participation from Shunwei Capital. Existing investors Neo Capital, F Prime Capital, 8 Road Ventures, and Temasek also participated in the round. In international news this week, Brazil-based Kovi has raised $104 million in a Series B round of funding co-led by Valor Capital Group and Prosus Ventures. Kuona Capital, GFC, Monashis, UFC Investimentos, Pipo, Norte Ventures, and Global Ventures also participated in the financing. The round takes Kovi's total equity raise since inception to about $145 million. The company also recently closed on a $20 million debt facility. It is not yet a unicorn, according to executives who declined to reveal total valuation. Kovi rents vehicles to on-demand drivers who work for ride-hailing companies such as Uber, Didi, and Lyft. It then expanded from on-demand drivers to food delivery workers. Israeli startup Waycare Technologies has been acquired for $61 million by Recourse Systems. Founded back in 2016, Waycare has developed a solution that uses artificial intelligence to aggregate and process data from various sources to help government agencies with crash prediction, congestion detection, as well as incident management and identification. Waycare collates data from transportation agencies' existing infrastructure, which is then synthesized with additional data from mobile apps, connected vehicles, weather analysis, and event management systems. AI algorithms ingest and process this information to produce actionable insights and predictions. Canada Drives, Canada's largest 100% online car shopping and to-your-door delivery platform, announced the close of $100 million in funding, led by Honor Ventures, with participation from Odessa parent, Car Global, and other strategic investors. The investment will be used to further expand Canada Drive services across Canada to new markets. Founded in 2010, Canada Drives has been the largest online automotive finance company in the country, helping over 1 million Canadians finance and purchase cars in the past decade. In May 2021, Canada Drives expanded its retail model from British Columbia to Ontario, allowing customers to purchase certified used vehicles online and have them delivered as soon as the same day. So let's transition to our companies to watch. Every week we highlight interesting companies in the automotive technology space to keep an eye on. If you read my monthly industry intel report, I showcase a few companies each month, and we take the opportunity here on the Friday Five to share some of those companies each week with you. Today, our companies to watch are Dixon Technologies and Quotable. First up this week is Dixon Technologies. Dixon Technologies is an automotive software company that helps dealers grow and retain their customer base. They have 3 products. Status Plus is a service CRM tool. Recon Plus decreases your time to market and points out any bottlenecks by measuring your process through every step. And Acquisition Plus allows dealers to connect with private sellers with the fastest moving vehicles through an automated texting campaign. If you're looking for innovative tools in any of these 3 areas, it would be worthwhile to check out Dixon Technologies. Our second company to watch this week is Quotable. Quotable is a dealer-founded, interactive lead response and communication platform. They help dealers maximize every single opportunity and differentiate from the competition by delivering highly engaging, interactive, personalized quotes via text and email. Dealers using Quotable deliver a first response that drives engagement, differentiates the dealership, and most importantly, helps increase contacts, appointments, and closing percentages. If you're looking to engage customers, book appointments, and sell more cars, you might think about checking out Quotable. With Quotable's automated lead response and communication software, you are able to deliver a great first impression and maximize sales opportunities every time. So that's your weekly Friday Five, a quick wrap up of the big deals in automotive technology over the past week. If you're an early stage automotive technology entrepreneur looking to raise money, or an entrepreneur who is trying to decide whether and when they should raise money or sell their business, I'd love to speak with you. Make sure you tune in to our AutoTech's Got Talent segments and track the 10 finalist companies as they compete for the chance to receive a $100,000 investment from Automotive Ventures. We need you to help us by voting for the companies you love the most. Thank you for tuning in to CBT News for this week's Friday Five, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Friday Five.